Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The top stories that we're tracking for you this evening. The Sensex and the Nifty declined nearly 1% this week. Broader markets fare worse, with the mid-cap index losing nearly 3%. IT stocks declined for the fifth straight session. CNBC TV 18's Newsbreak has confirmed Blackstone makes its first bet on residential real estate in India with an outlay of 1,800 crore rupees, signs a deal with Pune-based Kolte Patil to acquire over 14% stake and announces an open offer for 26%. Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurved enters the insurance sector. Ather Poonawala's Sanofi Properties will sell its stake in Magma General Insurance. Patanjali Ayurved will control 98% stake in the company post the sale. Elon Musk's Tesla is unlikely to manufacture in India as it hopes to enter the country with lower tariffs within 3 months. Sources say Tesla has initiated the process of getting approvals for models to be sold here. Shares of IndusInd Bank down 30% this week after disclosing a 2,000 crore rupee accounting lapse. RBI has reached out to other banks to assess their forex hedging positions, according to a money control report. Ather Energy files an updated IPO papers as it gears up to go public. Sources say the company is eyeing a valuation of 14,000 crore rupees. Ukraine's Zelensky says Putin wants to prolong the war after a top Russia negotiator rejected the 30-day ceasefire proposal. Russian President Putin visits the Kursk region, where Kremlin claims to be in the final stages of ejecting the Ukrainian forces. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer decides to abolish the quasi-autonomous body that oversees the activities of the public health system in England, says it will cut bureaucracy and bring management of the health service back into democratic control. Former RBI Governor D. Subbarao says the best-case scenario for India would be a free trade deal with America, followed by Trump administration imposing tariffs on China, but also admits a trade deal with the US won't be easy given millions in India depend on agriculture. That's an exclusive. The DMK government replaces the official rupee symbol with a Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo, stares at a fresh escalation with the centre amidst a tussle over the three-language formula. The state budget will be presented tomorrow. NASA and SpaceX delay the mission to rescue astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, who've been stranded in the International Space Station for 9 months. The mission was cancelled with just an hour before liftoff due to a hydraulic system issue. Well, let's start with the market action for the day. The Sensex and the Nifty declined in the last hour of trade, ending in the red. The Sensex lost 200 points and the Nifty dropped below 22,400. Now, for the week, the Nifty has lost nearly 1%. Mid-caps have seen sharper cuts for the day as well as for the week. That's the story as far as the mid-cap index is concerned. Just today down about 361 points. IT stocks remain under pressure, dropping for the fifth straight session. So that's a snapshot of the market action as we close for trade ahead of Holi. In the currency market, the rupee continued to appreciate against the dollar. This as the dollar weakened in tandem with crude prices on account of concerns about the escalating tariff war. Inflation slowing to a 7-month low strengthened the Indian currency. That's the dollar rupee for you. 86.99 is where it closed for the day. And in the energy market, oil prices eased after surging yesterday. This as worries about the impact of intensifying tariff wars outweighed positive sentiment from a larger than expected draw in US gasoline stocks. Meanwhile, gold prices edging higher as uncertainty over tariffs persisted and drove safe haven demand. The bullion also supported by a cooler than expected US inflation print, with strengthened expectations that the rate cut cycle will continue. Well, we told you first, and it is now official, Blackstone has made its first bet on residential real estate in India with an outlay of 1,800 crore rupees. The group has signed a deal with Pune-based Kolte Patil to acquire over a 14% stake. It's also announced an open offer for a 26% stake. Nimesh is here with more. Nimesh, you broke the story. It is official today. Take us through the contours of this big deal.
Well, in a big corporate development, large private equity firm Blackstone has today decided to buy a majority stake in a listed residential company called Kolte Patil. They're going to invest via preferential issue close to 14.3% stake, by which they are going to invest close to 400 crores. They're also going to buy 25% stake from the promoters at a price of 329 rupees per share. So that works out to close to 750 rupees per share. So put together via preferential issue and buying from the promoters, Blackstone is going to invest close to 1100 crores. Additionally, they've also announced an open offer for 26% at a price of 329 rupees per share. So that put together, Blackstone is looking to invest close to 16 to 1800 crores in Kolte Patil via this deal announcement. Remember, this is the first deal from Blackstone to foray into India's residential real estate businesses. Till now, Blackstone's large focus was in the commercial real estate in India. Now, for the first time, they've got into the residential real estate as well by buying a majority stake in a listed company called Kolte Patil. So they've bought, they're putting in via pref issue, they're buying from the promoters and making an open offer as well.
All right, Nimesh, many thanks for joining us. Shares of Coromandel International gained in early trade this after the company signed definitive agreements to buy a 53% stake in NACL for 820 crore rupees. Coromandel will acquire shares from the NACL's current promoter, KLR Products Limited. And staying with deals, Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurveda has entered the general insurance business. Patanjali Ayurveda has acquired a majority stake in Magma General Insurance and will be the promoter entity in the company after the transaction is complete. Yash joins us now with the details. Yash, big diversification move there from Patanjali. Take us through what this means for the company as well as who's exiting.
Well, quite unexpected, right? Who would have imagined a company that is largely into Ayurvedic applications, medicines, wellness products, would look at something like insurance. But of course, a quite interesting development happening in the insurance market. Baba Ramdev's Patanjali Ayurveda, as you rightly pointed out, has decided to enter the general insurance market. What does general insurance include? Everything from your motor insurance to your health insurance to fire insurance, accident insurance. It is a brownfield entry, which means a stake has been acquired by Patanjali Ayurveda in an existing company, that is Magma General Insurance, and it's not a fresh, a greenfield entry, so to say. Now, as far as the sellers of Magma General Insurance are concerned, the biggest one would be Cenote Properties. Cenote Properties is a joint venture where 90% was held by Ather Poonawalla and 10% was held by Rising Sun Holdings. There are smaller sellers also as far as Magma General Insurance is concerned, but about 74.5% will be sold by Cenote Properties, which is promoted by Ather Poonawalla. Apart from that, in terms of the list of buyers, what I've been told is that a majority stake would be acquired by Patanjali Ayurveda, which means more than 50% will be held by Patanjali Ayurveda, and it will be the promoter entity to Magma General Insurance. Of course, we need to understand from the company in terms of what its intentions are, the kind of business that it wants to do. But prima facie, this particular transaction will be subject to regulatory approval. As of now, that is the information which has been provided by Magma General Insurance.
Yash, many thanks for joining us. Shares of Gensol Engineering locked in the lower circuit for the fourth day, even as its board approved a 600 crore rupee fundraise to boost its balance sheet. The stock ended the week 23% lower. The board also approved splitting one share of 10 rupees each into 10 shares with a face value of 1 rupee each. The stock has been in a free fall amidst allegations of falsification of loan repayment documents. Now, shares of Bharat Electronics surging in trade today after it bagged a contract worth nearly 2,500 crore rupees from the Defence Ministry. As a part of the deal, BEL will supply Ashwini radars to the Indian Air Force, and with this, the state-run defence manufacturer has now accumulated orders totalling 17,000 crore rupees in the current financial year. The Amravati Airport in Maharashtra has received an aerodrome license by the Director General of Civil Aviation. The airport has been officially designated as a licensed regional connectivity scheme airport. Getting this license essentially means that the airport is ready to undertake flight operations. The big CNBC TV 18 exclusive, Tesla could drive into the Indian market in the next 2 to 3 months. Sources tell us that the American EV giant has started the certification process. However, it's unlikely to manufacture in India anytime soon. Parikshit joins us now with the details. Parikshit, we had already told our viewers about how they had blocked retail space in Mumbai to start with and in the NCR region. And now the process of certifying their cars in India so that they can drive on Indian roads, that process is started, but no plans to manufacture.
Not at all. What we're hearing from industry sources very familiar with Tesla's India strategy is that the company is facing a slowdown in China, where their sales were down in February. Their sales have been down almost 70% in Germany, overall in Europe, in Australia as well. So in a scenario like this, when their global sales are down, capacity utilization is not at optimum levels, it doesn't make any business sense for the company to commit to manufacturing in India. What Tesla is waiting and watching out for is how much duty does the Indian government cut down in the next few weeks. They're very hopeful of getting a strong duty reduction from the Indian government, and they want to import cars into India. We also believe that they have started the process of getting approvals for models that they intend to sell in the India market. But this also brings a dilemma for the Indian government. We all know that they have a scheme for manufacturing electric cars in India, whereby you get a 15% duty concession if you commit to make in India with a $500 million investment. The guidelines for that scheme are now in the final stages. They could be put out any day. But the government will have to give the same tariff reductions to US automakers as it does to EU and UK in the FTA as well. So this is going to be a complicated road for the Indian government to balance interests of everyone, not just the United States. Now, when it comes to the EV policy, automakers are waiting and watching what happens on tariffs, because tomorrow, if the Indian government reduces tariffs on automobiles coming from the US, then what is the incentive? Will there even be an incentive to apply for the scheme for manufacturing electric cars? So we've been told that Korean and European car makers have shown interest in this scheme. They have been coming for meetings very regularly. Tesla has not attended any meetings recently. We sent queries to almost all EV OEMs, including Skoda, Volkswagen, Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz. Hyundai said they are awaiting rollout of this policy to see what the contours are. Mercedes-Benz was quite categorical in saying that they do not have an intention to apply for this policy because they have sufficient capacity available and they don't want to bring any future EV models via the import route anytime soon. So that's where things stand. Clearly, Tesla's plan is to get into India very soon, but this is through the import route and unlikely to manufacture anytime in the near future.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. And from cars to two-wheelers, electric two-wheeler maker Ather Energy has filed an updated IPO paper with the regulator as it gears up to go public. Sources say the company is eyeing a valuation of 14,000 crore rupees. Rachna joins us now with more details. Rachna, it is a tough environment as Ather looks at IPOing. When can we expect it to go public?
Well, the updated DRHP has just been filed, and Ather Energy is aiming to raise about 3,700 to 4,000 crore rupees at a valuation of 14,100 crore rupees. This IPO has already been delayed by a few months due to market volatility. But sources have now told CNBC TV18 that Ather is now targeting a listing by the end of this month or by April, as it expects market conditions to improve much better than what they are right now from May onwards. The last IPO on the Dalal Street that we saw was nearly a month ago, and many have been wary given the market conditions. Ather Energy's offering will comprise of both primary and secondary shares, with founders Tarun Mehta and Swapnil Jain, along with existing investors like National Investment and Infrastructure Fund and Tiger Global Management's Internet Fund 3, offloading a part of their stakes. However, Hero MotoCorp, which holds a little over 37% in Ather, will not be participating in this share sale. This IPO comes at a time when demand for electric scooters in India is showing signs of cooling. FADA data has in fact showed us that two-wheeler EV sales in February declined 8% year-on-year to 76,086 units. Despite this, Ather managed to grow its sales by 20% last year, though rival Ola Electric saw a steeper rise of 52%. Ather's public issue will be only the second IPO by an Indian pure-play EV manufacturer following Ola Electric's listing last year. However, Ola's stock performance has been under pressure, with shares tumbling as much as 65% from their peak in August, when the company's market had almost touched $7.7 billion in value. With Ather now stepping into the public markets at a crucial time for the EV sector as well as for the markets, all eyes will be on investor response. Will it ride the momentum or face the same challenges as Ola? That is something we'll be tracking very closely.
Yes, we certainly will. Rachna, many thanks for joining us. Well, it's been a tough week for IndusInd Bank after it disclosed a 2,000 crore rupee pre-tax hit due to incorrect derivative accounting, and this transpired on Monday evening. The stock fell 28% this week, wiping out 20,600 crore rupees worth of investor wealth. The National Stock Exchange has put the stock under stage 1 of the additional surveillance measures to safeguard the interest of investors. This essentially means that the shares are under heightened scrutiny, and the exchange will monitor and control unusual price movements or volatility. Under stage 1 of additional surveillance measures, investors are required to meet a 100% margin requirement for trades. The stock is also kept in a daily price band of 5%. Meanwhile, Money Control reports that the Reserve Bank of India is reviewing derivative books of private and state-owned banks after the IndusInd Bank issue. The RBI has reportedly reached out to banks to assess their forex hedging positions. In fact, Abhizar Devanji of Neostrat Advisors believes that other banks may also report gaps in their derivative accounting. Here's why he believes so. Take a look.
The RBI came out in the 2024 circular precisely because of the gap that they identified. And they said that, listen, this is not working because the internal transfer pricing is not matching with the external hedge. And hence they said that you cannot have any open positions at all and you need to hedge everything in the market. When the circular came out, even IndusInd started investigating their books. So ideally, when every bank will start investigating their books, they may find these gaps. How large those gaps are will clearly depend on positions taken by the respective banks. But I think now there is going to be a lot more awareness of how treasuries function.
Well, here's an update on the U.S. indictment of Gautam Adani. The Indian government has asked a sessions court in Ahmedabad to serve summons to Gautam Adani and others over allegations of bribery and concealing information from American investors. India and the U.S. are signatories to the Hague Convention, and the Hague Convention allows signatory countries to directly request an agency in each other's countries for assistance in serving legal papers. The Union Law Ministry wrote to the Ahmedabad court asking it to serve the US summons on Gautam Adani and others. The letter is dated the 25th of February. This was first reported by The Hindu and later confirmed by CNBC TV 18. The CBI has arrested a crypto exchange administrator wanted by the US for allegedly helping cyber criminals launder money. The Lithuanian citizen and Russian resident was arrested in Kerala on the behest of the US administration. According to the US Justice Department, the individual responsible for reviewing transactions on Russian crypto exchange Garantex. The exchange allegedly processed nearly $100 billion to facilitate crimes in the US. The individual will now be produced in a court in Delhi. It's not clear when he will be extradited to the US or how he ended up in India to start with. Some of the other international headlines tonight. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that Russia wants to prolong the war after a top Russian negotiator rejected the 30-day ceasefire proposal. This comes as Russian President Putin visited Russia's Kursk region, which is occupied by Ukraine. Putin has said that Moscow's operation to eject Ukrainian forces from Kursk has entered its final stages. Israel's total blockade of the Gaza Strip has entered day 12. There is no food, fuel or medicine that's being allowed inside the enclave. Negotiations between Israel and Hamas are ongoing in Doha. Reports say the U.S. proposal of a 60-day ceasefire extension and the release of 10 living Israeli captives are currently on the table. United Kingdom's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has abolished the quasi-autonomous body that oversees the activities of the public health system in England. The move will bring the NHS England back under the direct control of the UK Health Department. Take a look.
Today, I can announce we're going to cut bureaucracy across the state, focus government on the priorities of working people, shift money to the front line. So I'm bringing management of the NHS back into democratic control by abolishing the arm's-length body NHS England. That will put the NHS back at the heart of government where it belongs, freeing it to focus on patients, less bureaucracy, with more money for nurses, an NHS refocused on cutting waiting times at your hospital.
A bold move from Prime Minister Starmer. He's declared he will abolish NHS England. That's a body set up by the Conservative government back in 2012 to oversee health services. The government will now get rid of this middleman, so to speak, to gain direct control over health services under the NHS, the National Health Service. NHS England is not the NHS itself, and that stays, of course. This is the public body that was created to oversee and to manage that health service. And of course, this body covers only England, one of the 4 provinces of Britain. The other 3, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, will take their own decisions on healthcare and health policy. The move now seeks to answer a lot of concerns and demands that have been rising, made by doctors and health professionals. And these have been really causing some concern to the public and to the government. And under this present system, NHS trusts overseen by NHS England have appointed layers of officials and managers that doctors say do not understand their needs and take decisions that are not in the best interests of healthcare. They want decisions taken in line with what doctors want rather than what the present lot of managers think they should want. And this move now seeks to place those final decisions in the hands of government officials rather than the bureaucracy of NHS England. But of course, whether the new bureaucracy will take better decisions is not certain, but this move clearly is intended in that direction. The decision is in line with a campaign promise to reform the NHS, always a major election issue, and no doubt the decision borrows from the mood across the Atlantic, as so often with Britain, to take bold and even disruptive decisions intended for the public good.
Sanjay, many thanks for joining us. President Trump has threatened to impose a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes and alcoholic products from France and other European countries. His warning came after the EU announced plans to impose a 50% tariff on American whiskey from April. In a post on social media, Trump referred to the EU as one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariffing authorities in the world and asked the bloc to remove the tariffs immediately. Canada has said it will impose 25% tariffs on U.S. goods worth more than $20 billion. This is in retaliation to the Trump administration's steel and aluminum duties that came into effect earlier this week. The new tariffs will cover steel and aluminum as well as other goods, including computers and sporting equipment. Foreign ministers of G7 nations meeting in Canada after weeks of rising tensions between the U.S. allies and President Trump. The two-day meeting will likely focus on Trump's tariff threats and ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. The Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, who's hosting the meeting, said Canada welcomes the U.S. proposal to halt the fighting in Ukraine. She added that a ceasefire is the first step towards a just and lasting peace. After being stuck in space for 9 months, NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore will have to wait more to return home. SpaceX has postponed the launch of its Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station due to a technical issue. The rocket was to carry 4 astronauts who would have replaced the current crew. NASA is now targeting a launch for Friday. Up next on India Business Hour, the DMK government replaces the official rupee symbol with the Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo. Triggers a fresh war of words with the centre. Catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X and Jio Hotstar. Well, here's another CNBC TV 18 exclusive tonight. Former Reserve Bank Governor D. Subbarao says the best-case scenario for India would be to sign an FTA with the US. Speaking to Lata, Subbarao said that agreeing on an FTA won't be easy since millions of Indians depend on agriculture. Remember, CNBC TV 18 has reported that the US is keen on a grand deal with India and no sector is off the table.
We made a lot of concessions over the last few months during the budget, before the PM's visit to Washington, during his meeting with President Trump. Even after he came back, we agreed to import more defense. An FTA is not going to be all that easy. There is the very critical issue of agriculture affecting millions of livelihoods. The best scenario for India would be that we have an FTA with America and he slaps tariffs on China and other countries. I don't blame them in that sense because I believe the Reserve Bank was enjoined to maintain a tight policy. After all, inflation was above the target for a considerable period of time. So they had to keep interest rate high, as also run a tight liquidity regime. There is some sacrifice of growth because after all, the objective of tightening is to choke demand. And when demand is choked, there is some constraint on growth. In the medium to long term, I believe low and steady inflation is a necessary condition for
Former RBI Governor D. Subbarao, the DMK government has replaced the rupee symbol with the Tamil letter for Ru in the state's budget logo. The state government is staring at a fresh escalation with the centre over the 3-language formula. Jude joins us now with more. Jude, a fresh escalation in the ongoing DMK-Center tussle.
With just a day to go for the Tamil Nadu budget, the state government led by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has bowled a googly of sorts, taking everyone by surprise with the soft launch of a new rupee symbol. The Tamil letter Ru will be used to denote Rubai, which is of course the Tamil word for rupee. It essentially replaces the existing English and Devanagari script, which has resulted in the formation of the rupee symbol that's widely in use today. While no formal notification has been issued with regard to the change of the rupee symbol in the state, the fact is that the new Tamil letter to denote rupee has made its way to all state documentation, especially pertaining to publicity material surrounding the upcoming state budget. Remember, the change comes even as there has been a center-state tussle here in Tamil Nadu with regard to a couple of issues, but most notably the three-language formula of the proposed national education policy and delimitation, which Tamil Nadu has said will restrict or reduce its representation in the Indian Parliament. So while it may not be official yet, the change of the symbol, given the fact that the DMK government simply wants to use it in documentation, the intent of the government is rather clear. Should any references be made to the Indian currency, it will be led by a Tamil letter as far as the state is concerned, and not the existing rupee symbol as we all know of it at this time and place.
Jude, many thanks for joining us. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. From all of us here at CNBC TV 18, here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Holi. The markets are, of course, closed tomorrow. There will be no trading, so we will see you on Monday. But have a great day, enjoy Holi, and stay safe. Many thanks for watching.